I've given Haley Hassler's painting the top award in the show. I think it's an excellent example of using the narrative to make a statement about the figure. It's a lot like putting characters on stage. And she has both an image that is, on one hand, really almost classical, beautifully painted, accurately painted, and humorous. In the aspect of her choice of her subject matter and little things like these dates, which make it look like it, has this sort of historical background, yet she's holding this cock and she's got this, she's in her socks. So there's a lot of humor, but humor handled in a very sophisticated way. So I thought all of that, plus its presence, made it worthy of the best of the show. I've given Aliana Cantor the Silver Award basically because it has all the elements that make a portrait strong. It has gesture and expression. You can sort of see in the eyes, she has you looking away, the expression relates to that head turn really strongly. You can see the eyes, the glasses, all of it really say this is an individual. And then there's another element to it that I think is really strong, is the way that the marking sort of creates an energy around the figure. So it gives that individual a sense of personality. There's an energy that's sort of moving into the figure, and yet it's sort of moving into her and giving her a kind of a lifeness, which I think is really important in the image and real important in portraiture. I've given Dan Kirchheffer's image the Bronze Award based on a couple things. First of all, it is really consistent in an intimate way. Your subject matter, these two small girls, are put down in a small space, and then you've got the aspect of the way the composition sort of suggests that they're either sort of coming onto the space. It's like they're growing, as you see it, they're growing. And then sort of balancing them off with this really interesting negative space. So both size and composition and subject matter go together to make really a beautiful little intimate image. I've given Alana Peters an honorable mention on this piece. There are a couple aspects of the way she speaks to the figure that are really quite unique. One of the ways is that she's using color, a lot of color. So you start thinking of that figure in a very active way. That she has a very interesting sort of setting. The water, the bubbles. And so she's using pattern in a way, the way these bubbles sort of move you all the way around this painting, giving you a sense of movement and more of a mental activity than a physical activity. So it's almost like her thought process is expressed in both color and pattern. I've given Clint Escher's image an honorable mention. I think it's a perfect example of the way you get consistency of both the way in which it's painted and what it's painted on, and it's consistent. It feels like, the whole image feels like a brain in rage, and it really expresses that. It's the way verbal language and image all come together to create this sort of agitation. So you can't really look at this without reading it or thinking about that kind of agitation. So it's a wonderful image about rage, and I thought that it deserved that honorable mention. I've given Kevin Bacher's photograph here an honorable mention. I found it to be really interesting. It has a lot of what I would call really symbolic and putting together a narrative, putting those characters on stage. The female figure, the way she's pulling on this very obviously male image, this narrative, becomes really pretty clear. I also like the kind of things it leaves you to ask about. It's got a little bit of stuff over in here that you don't quite know what's going on. And one of the things that's really interesting to me is the leaves coming down off that roof, because it's like speaking to the way time and things die and move on, and maybe it makes it hopeful. I've given this image of Ryan Ormond's an honorable mention. This image has been one that actually has stuck with me since I first looked at them. There's something so straightforward and innocent about that image and the way that figure just confronts you in a very innocent way that is compelling. I have been with it all the way. And when I saw it, in fact, it hasn't let me down. You still can't really walk by it without looking into those eyes and sort of asking yourself, why me?